All right, everybody. Good afternoon. What is going on? Hope things are well for you guys. What am I saying? Of course they are. And there was a pretty interesting story that got published on The Athletic yesterday. If you are a Seahawks fan that is plugged in to following the team on the internet, you probably already at least heard about it. But I thought I'd go ahead and make a video about it, talking about some of the details here. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but Michael Silver wrote an article for The Athletic. It's viewable on the New York Times. Now, the article is behind a paywall, so I'm not going to show the whole thing or anything like that. But I do want to talk about it a little bit because it's very interesting, and there's a reason why the article was dropped yesterday, the day after the Seahawks beat the Rams with the help of Cooper Kupp to go to the Super Bowl, because it has to do with the relationship between the Rams and Cooper Kupp last season and this season. All right, everybody, before we go any further into the video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about a wonderful app called Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get all kinds of scores, sports news, and sports alerts with blazing fast speed. And of course, you can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports with other people in a community. Download the Sleeper app today, and remember to use the promo code SBN, that is SBN, for up to $100 match on your first deposit. And they also have a free $20 entry right now, no deposit required, so pair those two up. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. Check out the Sleeper app and have fun with sports this year. All right. So basically, this article breaks down the relationship between the Rams and Cooper Kupp during his final year in Los Angeles, which was, of course, last year, and spilling over a little bit into this year. So obviously, Cooper Kupp, one of the all-time great Rams, had maybe the greatest season any wide receiver has ever had for any team ever in 2021, won Super Bowl MVP, won the Triple Crown, just an absolute tour de force. And I know that was his only monster season in the NFL because of injuries, but even with that, this is one of the all-time great Rams players. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's not Aaron Donald, but he has a special place in that organization's history. And he's a big reason why that team was able to do what they did over the last several years. So I think we all understand that. We all remember really, really not enjoying his presence when the Seahawks would play the Rams for many, many years there. And you would think that would afford a certain level of respect from the organization as his career winds down. Well, according to this article, and according to some of the things said by Cooper Kupp himself, apparently not. Now, important disclaimer here, you can't believe everything that you read. And my understanding is that Michael Silver has written things about the Rams that are kind of trying to put things in the most negative light possible before. Like, he did a similar article on Jared Goff several years ago. And what I'm trying to say is that there's not always going to be, it's not always going to be completely well represented when you read an article like this. This article is telling one side. There's another side here. And I'm sure the Rams organization would remember things very differently and and report things very differently. But to take a couple of segments of the article here, things degenerated in LA when it became clear that Kupp, once a featured receiver, had been surpassed by Puka, a fifth-round selection in 2023, who became an instant star. Kupp felt like an afterthought. The Rams shopped Kupp in 2024, but insisted they were merely fielding calls from other teams, a claim the receiver believed was disingenuous. So that's according to two league sources, by the way. I guess that's not directly from Kupp, but two league sources is that's pretty believable. They decided not to trade him ultimately. The relationship remained frayed, even though the team was able to bounce back to get into the playoffs. And late in 2024, Apparently, he told Silver, Kupp himself, this year has been very trying. Now, that was a year where he got injured and missed time. Maybe he was talking about that, but presumably he was talking about the fact that he felt a little disrespected by the team that he had done so much good work for. After the Rams cut Kupp last March, he was stunned that the most powerful people in the Rams organization never called to thank him for his time with the franchise. He did say that he debriefed with McVay and maintains a good relationship with him, including and has a good relationship with many former teammates, including Stafford. But it's clear that he's not thrilled with the way the organization treated him on the way out. And also, supposedly, according to this article, there was a request from the Rams for Kupp to retire after the 2024 season. They wanted him to retire, and he didn't want to. And this is kind of the most brutal part. When he declined to retire, apparently they tried to spread rumors about him being washed up around the league to hurt his free agency value. Now, that one, I have a little bit of a hard time believing. I don't know what that does for the Rams. Like, if you're the Rams and you think he's washed up, why would you tell other teams that he's washed up? Wouldn't you just say, okay, go out there, get all the money that you can get. It's not going to be from us. And whatever team you go to, whatever money they spend on you is money they can't spend on other stuff. So we want them. We want other teams to spend as much money as possible on you. If it's not us, then that takes away their ability to spend on other things. So I don't know if I believe that. That one's a little bit hard to swallow. In order for the Rams to do that, they must have hated Cooper Kupp. They must have decided that hurting Kupp was more important than their own success almost. Like, I mean, I don't want to say that the Rams were that reliant on Kupp going out there and taking a bunch of money from somebody, but why would the Rams want to help other teams make a good decision? The Rams want other teams to get Cooper Kupp at a discount price? So I don't know about that, but it does seem like there's some dissatisfaction with the way this split happened. And you also had this. This is from earlier this year. And this is just kind of a fun anecdote, more so than anything particularly striking about the relationship between Kupp and the Rams. But this is talking about the Cooper Kupp fumble in the red zone in the second Seattle LA game a couple months ago, a little less than a couple months ago. According to several witnesses, the fallout from that play sparked a confrontation between the Rams and Seahawks coaches as they took a shared elevator ride to field level. Several Rams assistants were discussing the fumble in question as they neared the elevator. One offensive coach asked which Seattle player had been responsible, and when another replied that it was Kupp, the coach snickered as though he expected the answer. This drew the ire of outside linebacker coach Chris Partridge, whose enraged response caused Rams defensive pass coordinator Drew Wilkins to yell back at him. Partridge, witnesses said, had to be held back by other Seahawks coaches in the packed elevator. So that's quite something. And this is corroborated by multiple witnesses, so this probably did happen. Again, I don't know why the Rams would take issue with Cooper Kupp. I don't know why they would dislike him. Even late in his Rams career, he was still productive. He just couldn't stay healthy. And I don't know. I don't know why they would dislike him, but I do think that this part of the story almost has to be true because multiple people reported it. So that's quite something. And we're talking about one fumble in a 17 game season. So it is kind of weird to jump on him for that. That does kind of sound like somebody with an axe to grind, right? That does kind of sound like these coaches have an issue with him and are taking any opportunity to kick him when he's down. Again, I don't know if the Rams actually went out of their way to try to hurt his ability to get a big contract in free agency. But the rest of this stuff, yeah, maybe. I could see it. I mean, I do believe that Kupp was not contacted by the powerful people in the Rams organization. I don't know why Kupp would make that up. And I mean, he did end up signing with the Rams division rival. And I mean, the sweet thing about all of this is that he got his revenge, right? He didn't have a monster game on Sunday, but I think 3 of his 4 catches converted third downs. including, I think, the most important third down of the game, the 3rd and 8 that he just barely picked up. And yes, by the way, it was a catch. And yes, by the way, he got the first down. But that's what kind of really brings this story to its fruition. That's what kind of brings it to the satisfying endpoint, because Kupp got his revenge and he's one win away from winning another Super Bowl with another team, a team that is the Rams' primary rival or one of their primary rivals. So that's quite something. And look, the Seahawks have gotten involved in stuff like this before with some of their all-time greats. Like, there have been reports of the way we treated Bobby Wagner when he left that ended up being kind of over-exaggerated and being played up. To a certain extent, you could say it with a guy like Richard Sherman, although most of the negative stuff comes from Sherman himself. I would be hesitant to believe everything in this article, and I'm sure, again, there's another side to the story, but it is pretty interesting, and it is pretty sweet for Cooper Kupp that he was able to come out on top here. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. It's an interesting story. Again, there's plenty more to it that I didn't go over in this video, but the short version is the Rams and Cooper Kupp had a pretty poorly defined relationship at the end there, and and Sunday was not just another conference championship game for him. This was a opportunity for him to kind of win the war, and he did. He really did. And I mean, if you're the Rams right now, you're probably wishing you had kept Cooper Kupp instead of giving Tutu Atwell all that money. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day. More videos coming soon, in all likelihood.